My stepmother said, "Real daughters don't charge their parents rent." So I showed her the lease she made me sign at 18. The room went silent. My dad shifted uncomfortably. My half-brother pretended to be fascinated by his phone. But my stepmother just stared at the document like it might burst into flames. "That's different," she finally said. "You were practically an adult. We were teaching you responsibility." I was 18 and still in high school. She'd moved into our house 6 months after my mom died, brought her son, and immediately started charging me $400 monthly for my childhood bedroom. Meanwhile, her son got the guest room for free because he's family. When I turned 19, she raised it to $600, said I needed to learn about market rates. By 20, it was $750 plus utilities. I was working full-time at a grocery store and taking community college classes at night. I'd come home exhausted to find my stepmother had eaten my labeled groceries because she didn't think I'd mind sharing. Her son graduated college last year, moved back home rent-free. Now he's been living in our basement for 8 months, playing video games and working part-time at his mom's friend's office. He doesn't pay rent, doesn't buy groceries, doesn't even do his own laundry. Last week, my dad called me over for Sunday dinner. I hadn't been back in 6 months since I'd finally saved enough to move out. When I arrived, my stepmother had prepared this whole speech about families sticking together, about how she and my dad were getting older and needed help with the mortgage, about how real children take care of their parents. "We're asking everyone to contribute $500 a month," she announced, "just until we get back on our feet." I looked at my half-brother. "Everyone?" "Well," my stepmother said, "he's still finding himself. You have a stable job. I work as a bank teller. Her son makes more than me doing data entry 3 days a week." That's when she hit me with the real daughter comment. Like I hadn't paid her $43,000 over 5 years while her son paid nothing. Like I hadn't bought my own groceries since I was 18 while he raided the fridge freely. Like I wasn't the one who'd helped dad through his recovery after his surgery because she was too stressed to handle it. I pulled out my phone and showed them my spreadsheet. Every rent payment, every utility bill, every grocery receipt from the food she ate, 5 years of documentation. "You owe me $43,000, I said calmly, plus interest, and emotional damages for telling a grieving teenager that her dead mother's house was now a rental property. My dad's face went white. He'd never asked where that money went, never questioned why his daughter was working herself to exhaustion. He'd just let her handle it because dealing with his new wife was easier than dealing with his guilt. "That's ridiculous," my stepmother sputtered. "That money went toward household expenses." I pulled out another document, my dad's mortgage statements that I'd requested last month. The house had been paid off 3 years before my mom died. There was no mortgage to help with. "Where did my $43,000 go?" I asked. The silence was deafening. My half-brother finally looked up from his phone. Even he seemed curious now. My stepmother's face had gone from red to pale. "That's none of your business. That money was rent. We can spend it however we want." "Actually," I said, standing up, "since you made me sign a lease, this is a legal rental agreement, which means I'm entitled to receipts showing where my rent payments went toward property expenses. And if you can't provide them, we have a real problem." I started walking toward the door. Behind me, my dad finally found his voice. "Wait," he said, "let's just talk about this." But I'd stopped talking 5 years ago when they made me pay to grieve in my own home. I turned around one last time. "I'll be back next week with my lawyer. We can talk then." My stepmother's expression changed. Something flickered across her face. Fear, maybe, or anger. She grabbed my dad's arm and whispered something I couldn't quite hear, but I caught 2 words. "The account." My stomach dropped. What account? I couldn't fit what happens next in this short video. Watch the rest down below.